Uh, yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Kejuannh Humphreys, and today we're kicking it over to the NFL with Week 1 just about a week and a half, 2 weeks away. I wanted to come on here and talk about the quarterbacks that I feel are under the most pressure. Now, before I dive into that, man, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share with y'all folks, man. We on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and like I said last video, the grind is gonna start right now. We're talking about the quarterbacks under the most pressure. Now, when I say most pressure, I'm talking about guys that their play this season could drastically change the way they're looked at as an NFL quarterback. Now, with that being said, I'm going to start it off. This list has no order because I found it very, very hard to just put these quarterbacks in their situations in order. So I'm just going to list the quarterbacks under the most pressure. First one I have to say, Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson, this is an obvious decision, an obvious choice. This is a quarterback that is one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. One of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. We had a legendary season last year, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, thousands and thousands of yards passing the ball. And they lost in the second round to the Buffalo Bills. Now, granted, the thing about Lamar Jackson is he only has one AFC Championship appearance. He's lost every single time he's faced off against Josh Allen in the playoffs. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit here and say that, it's all black and white when it comes to those playoff losses because context is needed. The Mark Andrews fumble, the Mark Andrews drop in the second half of the playoff game this year against the Buffalo Bills, is that directly on Lamar Jackson? No. But the way the sports work, the blame, the focus is going to be on the quarterback. And Lamar Jackson, he's had the teams. He's just got to get it done. And I think Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl would put him into a whole different stratosphere of conversations that we're having surrounding him right now. The next quarterback I want to talk about, Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow was under a boatload of pressure. And you know what? This may be more of the Cincinnati Bengals are under a bunch of pressure because Joe Burrow last year was phenomenal. He lit up the scoreboard, lit up the stat sheet, lit up the box score, but his team just lost and lost and lost. And the thing about Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, right now he has the eye test. He has the eye test backing him. We know Joe Burrow is one of the most talented players, one of the most talented quarterbacks, maybe top 3 quarterback skill alone, top 3, top 4 quarterback skill alone in the National Football League. But not making the playoffs is not at all a good look. Every single season, they're starting out slow. They try to catch a stride, and then they just don't win enough games to ultimately make the playoffs. They're in a very tough division with the Steelers, who are going to win 10 games every year, and the Ravens, who are one of the best teams in the league. So the Bengals and Joe Burrow have got to find a way to at least get back to the postseason. This is a guy that in his first year starting made it to the Super Bowl and lost. And I think for a while, that run, that season, made it to where people just say, okay, he's elite. And he is elite. But eventually, people are going to start saying, okay, why hasn't he been back? If he's as good, why hasn't he been back? I think Joe Burrow has got to get the job done this year and make it back to the postseason. And not just that, he needs a deep postseason run as well. Next quarterback I want to talk about, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, this is a guy who I think he is stamped. He is definitely stamped as probably the second best or third best quarterback in the NFL. Another AFC Championship appearance last year. The big thing with Josh Allen, the pressure on Josh Allen is he has got to beat Mahomes. That's the only thing that has stopped Josh Allen from winning championships, in my opinion. He's got to get past Mahomes. He last year, he beat the allegations of he needed Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs was the main reason why Josh Allen became just this top-tier quarterback. He beat those allegations. This year, now it's time to get the job done. Now you got to win. If you play Mahomes again in the playoffs, Josh Allen, you have got to get it done. Because now it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, you may never get over that. You may never get over that. And that is not something that a great quarterback like Josh Allen needs to have hanging over his head over the course of his career. Now, the next quarterback I want to talk about, and we're flying through these, because those last quarterbacks were great quarterbacks, and really, I don't see them having a down year per se, but winning would take those guys to the next stratosphere, to the next tier of quarterbacks when talking these all-time conversations. Now, these quarterbacks where if they don't play good this year, they're in deep trouble. I'm going to start out with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, coming out of Clemson, was one of the most decorated prospects coming out of Clemson. We thought he was going to be the next great quarterback in the National Football League. And here we are, 5 or so years later, nothing to show for it. One playoff win, barely even making the playoffs. And right now, it's gotten to a point with Trevor Lawrence and with, the head coach and things like that. If Trevor Lawrence does not play good this season, he could very well find himself not as a starting quarterback next season. I think that's where he is. And there are a couple quarterbacks that I'm going to list today that are in that kind of period. There's a chance that Trevor Lawrence, if he does not play good this season, could no longer be a starting caliber quarterback. And like I said, this is a guy that came out of Clemson expected to be one of the next greats. And he has not shown us that. He has not shown us that. And I feel like they've done a really good job of putting weapons around him. They go out and get BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. last year, who had a really good season last year. We'll see how good he is this year. Travis Etienne. Well, he had a down year last year, but before that, he was really good. So I think Trevor Lawrence has got to get the job done. He's got to get the job done. I said it over and over again. He may find himself not as a starter next year if he does not get the job done this year. Under the same breath, I got Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young last year found himself benched. He was benched for a couple of games for Andy Dalton. And he was put back in the starting lineup. They go out and they get their first round pick for the Panthers. They go out and get Ted McMillan from Arizona. They say, okay, we're going to give you a wide receiver 1. An X receiver, a guy you can throw the ball to, a guy that can be your safety blanket. We're going to go get him for you, Bryce. Bryce has got to get it done this year. I'm not sure if he got to make the playoffs. I think that, is a goal for the Panthers to make the playoffs because the NFC South is very weak. But he has to show that he can be the guy. He's got to show that he can be the guy because right now, after 2 seasons, it's looking really scary. Looking really shaky for Bryce Young. Looking very, very shaky. Like I said, same thing with Trevor Lawrence. If he does not perform, he could find himself out of a starting job next season. He already found himself out of a starting job last season, and they gave him another shot. So this is a do or die year for Bryce Young. Next guy I want to talk about, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's pressure is a little bit different from the two kind of guys that I talked about with the Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen's, and with the Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young. Dak Prescott's, his pressure is that star on his helmet. When you play for the Cowboys, you have a boatload of pressure on you. Because that franchise just has so much backing it. They're so-called America's team. It's gotten to a point where it's like Stephen A says, what can go wrong will go wrong for the Cowboys. Last year, Dak Prescott got a bag. Last year, he got paid. Got injured, missed the majority of the season. But Dak Prescott only has 1 playoff victory. Only has 1. He might not have no playoff victories. But Dak Prescott has not been good in the playoffs. Not one bit. They would have great seasons. They would have seasons where they win their division, win the conference. They were first in the conference his rookie season. Now, granted, that was his rookie season, but they were first in the conference and they lost their first playoff game. It's all about results. We know Dak Prescott's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's similar to Joe Burrow. He's going to fill up the stat sheet, fill up the box score, throw the ball 4,000, 5,000 yards for 20, 30 plus touchdowns, maybe even 40 plus touchdowns a year. But you got to get it done when it matters the most. And that's, once again, same thing with Burrow. It may not just be a Dak Prescott pressure. It's a pressure for the Dallas Cowboys. But we're going to look at the quarterback. We're going to look at Dak Prescott. Dak, you got the bag. The ball is in your hands. You got to go get it done. Next guy I want to talk about here is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert right now has he he has the luxury of, I was watching his podcast. He has the luxury of the nerds. The football nerds are backing Justin Herbert. This is a guy that has one of the greatest arms in the NFL today. Last year, he barely had any production out of his run game. And, we still find a way to make the playoffs. But I think, I believe last year was kind of a pedestrian year for Justin Herbert. It was not a year where Justin Herbert led his team to the playoffs. That defense was really good last season and helped that team get to the playoffs. Justin Herbert, man, you got to take care of business. Take care of business. I don't think this season is a do or die year for him. But if he plays bad this year, next season the pressure is going to be even higher on Justin Herbert. He's not quite at the level with T-Law where if a down year happens, he may find himself out of a job. He's not there yet, but he's almost there. And that makes this season even more important for Justin Herbert. Even more important. You got the guys around, you got to get it done. Got to get it done. They brought back Keenan Allen. Lamp McConkey came out last year to have a really good year. My Georgia boy came out to have a really good year last year as a rookie. He's going to be better. They went and got Trey Harris. Trey Harris, a young rookie. He's going to be good this year as well. They have the pieces. They go out and draft the Omarion Hampton. So with this Greg Roman offense, he's going to have a lot of help. I would say he's going to have a lot of help. But you've got to get the job done at the quarterback position. Now, the last quarterback I want to talk about here, Jared Goff. Jared Goff, quarterback of the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions that I felt like were Super Bowl favorites last year. I thought they were going to make the Super Bowl. The way they played all through the regular season and everything. They looked really good. And to be honest, they probably could have made it, but they dealt with a lot of injuries towards the latter half of the season to all kinds of starters missing for them, including Aiden Hutchinson. But Jared Goff's pressure is the fact that Ben Johnson's gone. Ben Johnson, the mastermind behind that Detroit Lions offense, is no longer on your team. He's actually going to a division opponent in the Chicago Bears. And I think the thing with Jared Goff is to me, he is what makes or breaks this Lions team. And he's not in a position where the team revolves around him. He's not the best player on the team. He's not the best player on his offense. But he's a guy. He's a guy that's like, okay, Jared Goff has got to make these throws. Jared Goff has to come up big in these moments for us to get over the hump. He has to. And he has a plethora of weapons over there, Ben Johnson or not. And I think Jared Goff being bad, if Jared Goff does not play up to par, there is a possibility that this championship window could close for them. A championship window that was wide open a couple of years ago when Dan Campbell had them guys fired up, ready to bite off kneecaps, like he said. Then last season, they won. I think they went 15-2 last season. Lost at home to the Washington Commanders. So now with no Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, he may be asked to do a little bit more, be a little bit better, because that mastermind, that mad scientist is no longer on your team. Let me know in the comment section who y'all have as the quarterbacks under the most pressure. There were a couple more guys that I could have named. Kyler Murray, of course, is one of them. Somebody else I was thinking of that I cannot. Jordan Love. Jordan Love to me has a decent bit of pressure on him as well. But those guys that I named and talked about were the main guys that I felt like had the most pressure on them. Put in the comment section who you think I missed and tell me who you don't agree with either from my list. But until next time, oh, I hit my camera. Until next time, going for two, we out of here. Yeah.